Morning that US Marines have seized an Iranian-flagged oil tanker near the Strait of Hormuz as preparation.
Motor Vessel Tosca, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
For 6 hours, they were warned. A 900-foot Iranian cargo ship cutting through the Arabian Sea, heading straight for the blockade line. U.S. warships locked on. Speed, 17 knots. Direction, Iran. No signs of stopping. For 6 hours, every warning was ignored. Then came the order no crew ever wants to hear. Motor Vessel Tosca, vacate your engine room. We are prepared to subject you to disabling fire. Seconds later, the first shot was fired. April 19th. Arabian Sea. Early morning. The sun was still low on the horizon when the U.S. naval blockade began another day of operations. For weeks, American warships had held a line stretching from the Iran-Pakistan border across to the northeastern coast of Oman. A wall of steel across open water. Silent. Watching. Waiting. And it had been working. 25 vessels had already been turned back. No incidents. No escalation. Ships would approach, see the destroyers, and retreat. Some turned around immediately, others took a few warnings. But none of them pushed through. The blockade was holding. Officers aboard the USS Spruance had seen it all by now. The routine of it. The pattern. A contact appears on radar. Calls are made. The ship turns back. Day over. But this morning, something was different. Radar lit up. One contact. Moving fast. 16 to 17 knots. Heading directly toward restricted waters with zero deviation. No course correction. No slowdown. No hesitation whatsoever. The contact was identified almost immediately. A massive Iranian cargo ship, nearly 1,000 feet long, already on a U.S. blacklist. Heading straight for the blockade at full speed. Officers watched the screen, tracked the movement, ran the numbers. At this speed, at this heading, this ship was not lost. It was not confused. It was not experiencing a navigation error. It knew exactly where it was going. And at this point, the situation could only go one way. This wasn't just a ship passing through. This was a test. And tests like this don't end quietly. The first radio call went out. Professional, clear, direct. The kind of transmission that leaves no room for misunderstanding. Stop your vessel. You are approaching a U.S. naval blockade. You are in violation of current blockade measures. Reverse course immediately. No response. The Spruance maintained position. Repeated the warning on a second frequency. Still nothing. Minutes passed. Another call. Same message. Different channel. Maximum broadcast range. Silence. Now understand what was actually happening during those 6 hours. Because this wasn't a standoff being watched on a screen somewhere in a comfortable room. This was happening in real time, in open water, with real people making real decisions on both sides. On one side, a U.S. destroyer crew watching a massive vessel fully loaded with containers running at near full speed, refusing to acknowledge a single transmission. Not one. Not even a broken response. Not even static that could be mistaken for an attempt. Complete. Total. Deliberate silence. The Tosca's communications were not down. The equipment was not broken. The crew was not unaware. They heard every word, and they kept moving. By now, everyone on the bridge of the Spruance understood something important. This crew had made a decision before they even reached the blockade line. They had decided at some point back in the Arabian Sea that they were going through. That the warnings would not stop them. That the U.S. Navy would back down. By now, they knew exactly what they were doing. The hours ticked by. The Tosca closed the distance. Every mile it traveled was another mile of ignored warnings. Every ignored warning pushed the situation one step closer to the only outcome that remained. At 13 hours 8 minutes, the ship slowed, from 17 knots down to 6. But it didn't stop, didn't turn, didn't reverse, just slowed. As if testing the reaction, as if measuring how much further it could push before the rules changed. The answer was already being decided aboard the Spruance. 6 hours, multiple warnings, multiple frequencies, maximum effort at communication, and nothing. Every mile the Tosca closed brought the U.S. Navy one step closer to a decision that could not be undone. What happened next changed everything. The Spruance moved, not retreating, not repositioning away from the contact. Closing, moving directly toward the Tosca with purpose. Because the time for radio calls was over. Loudspeakers activated. The kind of broadcast system that carries across open water with enough volume to rattle windows on a ship a quarter-mile away. Flares were fired, bright burning signals, unmistakable even in daylight, arcing through the sky in a clear visual warning that required no translation. Sirens. And then, the voice. Calm, controlled, not panicked, not aggressive, but carrying the full weight of everything that was about to happen if the next few seconds didn't go a different way. Motor Vessel Tosca. Motor Vessel Tosca. Vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We are prepared to subject you to disabling fire. On the bridge wing of the Spruance, you could hear the gas turbines in the background. The wind cutting across the deck at speed. The sounds of a warship at full readiness. This was not a bluff. The U.S. Navy does not issue disabling fire warnings as negotiation tactics. There is no version of that announcement that ends with the ship pulling back and sailing away. When that warning goes out, it is the last step before the trigger is pulled. And the crew of the Tosca knew it. For a moment, silence. The Tosca kept moving. Then came the whistle. That long, piercing signal that every naval crew recognizes. The sound that means the window has closed. That the warnings are finished. That what comes next is no longer a warning at all. The Tosca had one final opportunity to comply. To slow the ship. To stop the engines. To do anything that acknowledged the reality of what was happening around it. They didn't take it. The Spruance repositioned one final time. This movement was different from all the others. Deliberate, calculated, tactical. The destroyer moved to the starboard quarter of the Tosca off the rear section, angled toward the stern. Because the target was never the hull, never the bow, never the bridge. The target was the engine room. On a vessel like the Tosca, the engine room sits beneath the smokestack, aft of the main housing structure. Behind the bridge, behind the crew quarters, beneath stacked containers. Everything that keeps a 900-foot ship moving at sea is concentrated in that single space. The propulsion systems. The main engines. The machinery that converts fuel into forward movement across thousands of miles of open ocean. Hit that space precisely, and the ship stops. Not sinks. Not burns. Stops. Disabled. Dead in the water, exactly where you need it. A naval gun, designed specifically to stop ships, locked onto its target. The fire control systems aboard an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer are among the most precise on any surface warship in the world. At the distances involved, hitting a specific section of a vessel moving at reduced speed is not a matter of luck. The order was given. Fire. The first round launched from the 5-inch gun with a sound that carries across water for miles. Then a second. Then a third. Each one directed at the same location. Each one sent with the same purpose. Each one closing the distance between warning and consequence. On the Tosca, smoke began rising. Speed dropped in real time. 17 knots. 12. 8-4. The massive vessel, carrying thousands of containers, loaded from ports in China and Singapore, crossing thousands of miles of open ocean, was slowing. Not by choice, not by decision. Because the machinery beneath its deck was no longer capable of driving it forward. One wrong move from that crew in those seconds, and this becomes something far worse than a disabled ship. But the rounds hit exactly where they needed to. The engines that had carried this ship from Shanghai through the Strait of Malacca, through Singapore, across the Arabian Sea, were finished. Tracking systems monitoring the Tuska's position went quiet. The ACE signal, the global positioning system used to track commercial vessel movements, showed the final data points. Speed, near zero. Movement, none. Status updated across every maritime monitoring platform on the planet, not under command. In maritime language, those three words carry a very specific and final meaning. Not under command means the vessel has lost its ability to maneuver, cannot steer, cannot accelerate, cannot change course, cannot escape. The ship is at the mercy of the current, dead in the water. The Tosca, which had departed from Chinese ports, crossed through Southeast Asian shipping lanes, entered the Arabian Sea, approached the U.S. blockade at full speed, ignored 6 straight hours of warnings, ignored flares, ignored sirens, ignored a direct loudspeaker command, was going absolutely nowhere. The blockade had held. But the operation was far from over. A disabled ship in international waters, fully loaded, crew uncooperative, contents unknown, is not a closed situation. It is the beginning of the next problem. And this is where it escalated to a completely different level. The call went out to the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. Aboard the US Tripoli, alongside 2 additional amphibious vessels, Marines had been standing by, waiting, prepared, watching the situation develop across the water. Now they were moving. Understand something important before we get to what happened next. Boarding a container ship is not the same as boarding a tanker. Not even close. Tankers have flat open decks, long stretches of clear surface with piping and valves, exposed, yes, but accessible. You can rope down onto a tanker deck and move. A container ship is different. Containers stacked multiple stories high, metal boxes in every direction, narrow corridors between stacks that create natural choke points. Every container is an obstacle. Every shadow between stacks is potential cover for someone who does not want to be found. And if you rope onto the top of the containers, you are elevated, exposed, and have no easy path downward. This is not a simple boarding operation. Early in the Red Sea operations against the Houthis, 2 U.S. Navy SEALs were lost during a boarding operation against a vessel far smaller than the Tosca. The Marines knew what they were walking into. One wrong move, and this turns into a firefight in the middle of the Arabian Sea with no backup within miles. They executed anyway. Boarding teams approached the disabled vessel, secured access points, moved through the ship systematically, deck by deck, section by section. The crew of the Tosca, the same crew that had refused every radio call, every flare, every siren, every loudspeaker warning across 6 straight hours, did not resist the Marines. Not a single act of resistance. The ship was cleared, secured. The crew placed in custody. What had started hours earlier with a single radar contact moving at 17 knots toward a blockade line ended with U.S. Marines standing on the bridge of an Iranian cargo ship in the middle of the Arabian Sea in full control. What started as a warning ended in complete control. The ship was stopped. The crew was taken. Control was secured. But one question remained, and it was the only question that actually mattered now. The Tosca had come from Shanghai. Before that, Macau. It transited Singapore. It was heading to Iran's primary port at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz. Sanctioned company. Sanctioned vessel. Sanctioned ownership traced through a chain of shell companies across multiple countries specifically designed to make tracking difficult. So what was inside those containers? Thousands of sealed metal boxes, each one locked, each one uninspected, each one sitting somewhere in that massive stack that now belongs to the U.S. military. You cannot search a ship like this at sea. Not meaningfully, not thoroughly. To know what is actually on board, Every container has to be offloaded at a port with the equipment to do it. Ship-to-shore cranes, inspection facilities, customs personnel, time. None of those things exist in the middle of the Arabian Sea. The answer to the biggest question of this entire operation is locked somewhere inside those containers, still waiting to be found. The ship was stopped. The crew was captured. The blockade held. But the real story may have only just begun.